Hey there, one more toy review. This is Decidueye, specifically the Decidueye Evolution 3-pack. I figured since Decidueye was the starter Pokemon that I picked for when I bought Pokemon Moon, I should own a toy of it because, Decidueye is freaking awesome. I mean, it's the first starter that actually changes its type. It goes from being a grass flying to a grass ghost. I've heard of starter Pokemon all the time gaining types, but never actually switching a type. That's pretty cool. And also, it's the first ghost type Pokemon that's available as a starter. Now, granted, Primarina would also be the first fairy type starter, but I think Ghost is cooler than Fairy, and Decidueye is cooler than Primarina. But that's just my opinion. Okay, so just like with the Incineroar 3-pack, this was a store exclusive. Specifically, it was a Toys R Us exclusive. Farewell, Toys R Us. Of course, I picked mine up at Toy Wiz because, Toys R Us is already gone by the time I decided that I wanted to buy this figure. On the back, there's just a basic glamour shot of the three versions of the figure. So let's get them out of there and take a look. Okay, first up, the little catalog thing it comes with. You unfold it to get a check mark of all the other figures available in the line. It's almost a full-on... It actually has a full-on poster displaying all the available figures. Yeah, that's actually pretty nice. If you can almost just put down your wall as a regular poster. Now, the thing is, where's Primarina? I have never actually seen the Primarina figure available. Is it another store exclusive? Incineroar was a GameStop exclusive. Decidueye, Toys R Us. So where's Primarina from? Was she for Walmart, Target, Walgreens? Who has Primarina? If anybody knows, just tell me in the description, in the comments, because even if I don't want to buy Primarina as a figure, I'm just genuinely curious at this point. Alright, so that being said, let's actually take a look at the three figures included in this box. So here are the three owls side by side by side. Rowlet, Dartrix, and Decidueye himself. And Decidueye even comes with an accessory. The feather arrow from his signature move, Spirit Shackle. Yes, I was going to say Sinister Arrow Raid, but that's its Z move. Yeah, it's Spirit Shackle, that's its default signature move. So let's take a look at the figures individually, starting with the little guy. Rowlet is just a static minifigure. He's made out of a softish feeling vinyl plastic, and he's pretty well painted with his little leaf bow tie and the green highlights. Plus he has a little action expression. His mouth is open. It's like he's in the middle of attacking, despite the fact that he's so tiny and adorable. I mean, look at him. He's a little ball. He's a little owl ball. They even got his tail feathers. And they sculpted in feathers on the back of his head. So it's nice to see the back of the figure got some love too. So this is just a static little minifigure, but for the initial starter, which is just supposed to be small and cute, that's really all he needs to be. The second figure, Dartrix, looks a little cool. I like how Dartrix has his eyes like semi-closed, like he's pensive and always thinking. And also how he has this asymmetrical fringe going on, like he's going through some emo phase, like yeah, the world is dark. Oh, and although that makes the fact that his next evolution as ghost type is kind of dark then if you think about it. But he still has the little things painted on. If you look at his wing from the side, it sort of looks like a ghost. Like, woo. Or maybe a blooper, because the feathers could be tentacles. Now, just like with the second evolution for the Incineroar set, this one has some basic articulation too. The wings are on swivels, so they can go all the way around. That goes for both of them, although you have to scrape it past the bangs on this side. And if you look, they painted the inside edge, even though it's really close up to where the shoulder is, so you can barely see it from certain angles, like there. So yeah, they actually showed love to a paint detail that you really wouldn't be able to see that easily. Even on this side, when the bang's not getting in the way. Although I can't help but feel that they swiveled the wrong direction. I mean, it's an owl. If you're going to expect the wings to go any way, wouldn't you want them to go out rather than just forwards? I'm not saying maybe they could have made a pin disc so that you could have it do the whole thing. But if you had to pick only one direction for the wings to move, couldn't they go outwards like a bird that flaps, you know? Like, come on. Like, it was a 50-50 shot and you picked wrong. The legs are also on swivel joints, so you can have him sit. Although he's really sitting on his tail feathers and the back of his little heel toe. And his feet have swivels too, so they can rotate. So, yeah, very basic articulation. Again, this isn't a very big figure, and the limbs aren't exactly very long either. Hey, does he have, wait a minute. Oh, does he? I think he has something resembling a waist joint. Yeah. I never really noticed it, but yeah, it's kind of hard to use because of the way the plastic is shaped, or maybe it's just two pieces of plastic that they used to build the figure that wasn't meant to move. But I feel like there's a separate piece here for the lower body, though it's probably not meant to be a joint, so I'm not going to try to force it. But yeah, that's the second evolution, Dartrix. So now let's get to the main show, Decidueye himself. Okay, so I know right off the bat there was some controversy about Decidueye's toy design because they decided to use fabric elements to make his wings. I say that this was probably the best choice that they had given the budget and the limitations of Decidueye's anatomy. I mean, the only other thing I could think of is to individually make all the feathers and sculpt them in a way that they would overlap so that you would be able to straighten the wings out and then bend them at what, for lack of a better term, is the elbow, without like, you know, leaving huge gaps. So yeah, I'm not gonna say anything negative about the fabric. That's an okay way to replicate the look. Also, it allows you to, because when Decidueye is standing neutrally, it kind of keeps its wings at its sides like it's wearing a giant cloak. And because they're fabric, you can easily tuck them in underneath the feather thing that, you know, I'm gonna call this his collar for lack of a better term. So with his wings at his side, he has that cloak look going down. You can even curl them inwards to make it look even better as a cloak. Only issue that I have with this is that the softer plastic that they used to make the collar is still too stiff. This should have been softer because the way it is, it kind of gets in the way of the shoulders. So when you want to put them up, like for him to be flying or something, they kind of get in the way and his arms can't really go any higher than, say, this. As for the head, it's basically a swivel. There's a ball in there, but you can't really use it as a ball joint. See? Head just comes off. There's ball joints in the thighs, which get pretty good range in every direction. There are knees. They look like, at first glance, they would be universal pin discs, but they are not pin discs. They're just discs. So he gets a 90-degree bend at the knee, which, remember, in a bird, this is actually the ankle. The knee is up here, and then the hip is inside the torso. So they can go from straight to 90 degrees. And the feet rotate. So you have some pretty decent articulation for the legs. You can get a wide-legged stance, and rotating the feet around so that they can both get flat purchase means that he actually can stand. He comes with, like I said, the arrow from the Spirit Shackle attack, and although they show him holding it like this in the box art, it doesn't really fit that way. What they did do is they sculpted a notch here, and if you look real closely inside the right hand, you see that? That is the little tab that goes into that notch. So you wedge that into place, and he can hold the feather like he's holding it, you know, like an arrow. The only issue I have with this is that his arm articulation, wing articulation, is not actually good enough to pull off the Spirit Shackle pose. He can't get his arm up high enough, and he can't rotate this one around far enough. Look, they even did the thing where, like, you see this? Yeah, you can make it super long so you can use it as his bowstring, and it even goes up into his hand when you do that. The thing is, like, the arm articulation lets it down. That's because, like, look at this. You can actually pull the soft goods up. There we go. So you see, there is a universal joint up there for the shoulder, and then there's another universal joint here for his elbow, and he even has a swivel wrist. Under normal circumstances, this would be fine for an arm. The only issue is that it's not an arm, it's a wing, and the way Decidueye moves in the game, having it limited to this kind of anatomy actually prevents you from using to make poses that you would want to make. I think I can improve on that. So, we will get to that some other time. But, for now, we're just talking about the Decidueye as is. Now that I got his wings up, you can see they painted all the detailing necessary onto his tail fins, too. So the paint job is pretty good. So there's nothing wrong with this figure's paint. It's a really good-looking figure in just about every way. It's just held back by a couple limitations. But still, for a Tomy Pokemon figure, it's really cool looking, and it's as posable as anything else from Tomy that we've seen before, so it's not like it's below par. I wish I still had Incineroar to compare him to, but as you may recall, I used Incineroar to make that awesome Sidon figure. I regret nothing. But yeah, speaking of Legend of Zelda, it's worth noting that my Decidueye is named Tiba, after the guy from the Rito village who helps Link infiltrate the Divine Beast. So yeah, I have a Breath of the Wild connection even with just this guy. So from this day forth, this particular Decidueye action figure shall be called Tiba, as he is my Decidueye, and nobody's going to change that. This has been Wake Angel 2001, and I'm signing off.